My name's Rick Dale. I restore things.
History Channel's American Restoration had a successful run for 6 seasons, from 2010 to 2014, with Rick Dale at the helm, as he and his team restored vintage items in his shop. Rick's Restorations. It became one of the most watched television series, as it amassed a huge following, not just in the US, but also across the globe. Many were shocked when it was cancelled, with no official explanation from the network, but just as surprised when it was rebooted in 2016, featuring 5 other restoration shops instead of Rick's Las Vegas shop. The viewing public could only speculate on the reason for the changes made in the show, and Rick's loyal fans were left wondering what became of him and his crew. Everything began with Rick Dale's penchant for restoring or rehabilitating old items when he was around 9 years old, as his father encouraged him along with his brother to fix a dilapidated bicycle found in a dumpster, and he enjoyed doing it. His father didn't have a lot of money, so he was all about fixing or making things work, and he wanted to teach his children the same philosophy. Since then, Rick has been fascinated by how things work. As he said, "I love taking things apart, and I love putting things back together." When he learned that he could make money from this skill of his, he began to look for vintage stuff he could restore and then sell. Back during his struggling days in the early 1980s, he invested $1,000 restoring a vintage Coke machine that he bought, and then sold it for 3 times the amount he put into it at the Rose Bowl flea market in Pasadena, California. There was a demand for old Coke machines at gas pumps overseas at the time, and then later on, Americans wanted them too, and they were more than willing to pay more for them. He went around the country doing business this way until he was able to set up his own shop. Rick put time into researching what he could about a piece he was working on, so to restore it to its original glory and have an idea of the value. He took pride in his work, and things went well for a while. In 1993, he went through a divorce, and although he sold his shop, he still put classic pieces he restored for sale right in front of his house. He later found the right partner in his second wife, named Kelly, who specialized in marketing. She said to him, "You do the work, and I'll make the money," as Rick re-established his restoration business in 2007. Left Field Pictures, the producers of History Channel's reality TV series Pawn Stars, first approached Rick to ask if he would like to pawn the gas tank that he had listed in a printed publication. He declined, but expressed his interest in being called upon as an expert antique restorer and metal artist in the show. With his knowledge, the producers took him up on that, and he became a recurring guest in the series, first appearing in the Time Machines episode in its first season in 2009. It didn't take long after that for Left Field Pictures to create a spin-off series featuring Rick Dale and his restoration shop. His crew was one of a kind, but they somehow managed to get the job done. According to Rick, the shop was actually a family business, with his wife as the head of business operations and members of his family working the front office. His daughter Allie was the office manager, son Tyler the foreman, and his brother Ron and stepson Bradley were the pickers. Rick had a wider team of specialists for restoration projects. Kevin Cowboy Lowry was the metal polisher and woodworker, Ted Haig the lettering artist, and Kyle Astorga the assembler and fabricator. Whenever needed, he would also call on other experts, depending on the project he was working on. American Restorations premiered on the History Channel on 25th October 2010. The first project his team took on for the show's first episode was a 1950s 3-wheeler marketeer golf cart bought by Rick Harrison, the owner of the gold and silver pawn shop in Pawn Stars, as a gift to his father, Old Man Harrison. It was a 40-man-hour job that cost $6,000 to fix the interior and bodywork, replacing parts such as the batteries and wheels, and painting it. The first part of any restoration process was to take the item apart piece by piece, clean it up, and remove the rust and paint. The next step was finding parts that were missing or needed replacing. As much as possible, he used original pieces, as he didn't want to reduce the value of an item or take away its authenticity by using remanufactured parts. After finishing the bodywork, it was time to paint it. The last part would be putting it all together and making sure that it was working or running as it should. It was pretty hectic at Rick's shop, as his team tackled various projects at the same time, but they never lost sight of their goal, which was to make their clients happy and satisfied with the work they had done. Rick's reputation grew to the point where celebrities came to avail themselves of his and his crew's expertise. Billy Joel, one of the best-selling music artists of all time, came to Rick's Restorations to have his 1967 BSA Rawstar motorcycle brought back to life. Billy actually had his own motorcycle shop and gallery in Oyster Bay called 20th Century Cycles, in which he built, modified, and customized bikes. However, when it comes to restoring his vintage motorcycle, he turned to Rick. He was quite sentimental about the bike, as it was the first one he ever rode. When Billy was quite young, he had a friend who asked him to take care of his bike as he was leaving for Vietnam. Billy rode it around and fell in love with it. When he started collecting bikes, he found one of the same brand, model, and color, but it was in bad shape. Rick had to buy parts from collectors overseas, and his friend worked on the motor. After the restoration was completed, he delivered it to Billy Joel's shop. The piano man was amazed at the transformation, saying, "This is the best bike I have in the shop." He then excitedly took it for a test ride. David Copperfield, who was declared by the US Library of Congress as a living legend and hailed by Forbes as the most commercially successful magician in history, asked Rick to come to his magic museum as he had two unusual devices in his collection that he wanted restored. One was a knife-throwing board apparatus. David positioned Rick in front of the board and made decoy knives come out of it. The other was a Ferris wheel coaster goat with an exploding device under the goat. They were originally made by the Demolan brothers and company to scare the unsuspecting victim, while everyone else laughed at the prank. Everything had to be done perfectly to ensure that the magic trick would work. David came to the shop and was happy to see the restored devices. They tested both on Rick's new employee. The Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter Jason Mraz, along with his father Tom, wanted Rick to restore a sign with the name Frank D. Fixer, which came from his grandfather's old shop. It was said to have been originally made by a soda company as an advertisement for Frank Mraz's shop. The I'm Your Singer had already written a ballad in his grandfather's honor, and he wanted to hang the restored sign in his studio where he wrote the song. Rick had a hard time with this one, as he said that signs are basically like paper. You can't fix them very well, but he couldn't say no to Jason, as he knew how important it was to the singer. So, job done, of course. The TV series American Restoration was cancelled after 5 years, much to the dismay of its loyal viewers from all 87 countries where it was aired. With an average of 2.9 million viewers each week, many were surprised by this move from the network. No official statement was issued regarding the matter, so naturally, viewers wondered about the cause of the cancellation. Fans were appeased when it was announced that they were rebooting the show, but only until they realized that Rick Dale and his crew wouldn't be part of it. Speculations arose, and the one who suffered the most was Rick, as he was put in a bad light when people were trying to understand why he was effectively fired. Some thought that he had become difficult to work with, or that he demanded a higher fee. Others claimed that his work had become shoddy, and that he'd lost sight of what he said made his business a success, which was his attention to detail. It didn't help that he failed to deliver on a promise to an 85-year-old man in restoring a 1950s jukebox for $4,000. While its exterior looked well, it wasn't functioning properly. Then there were those who believed that Rick refused to be part of the show, in which he would share the limelight with other restoration shops. It was said that as each restoration project took time to finish, the producers thought it best to include other shops, so Rick's restorations wouldn't be inundated with work that might result in substandard quality. Nobody knew what really happened, only that an emotional Rick took to social media and uploaded a video thanking his fans for their support, saying, "There will only be one Rick's Restorations," which is basically American Restoration. He even went as far as asking fans to go to the American Restoration website to share how they felt about it. A fan initiated a petition to the network to keep Rick in the show, but it only attracted a few signatures, so nothing came of it. Season 7 premiered in January 2016 with 13 episodes featuring 5 restoration shops, such as Bodie Stroud Industries, Dale Wachsler's Wheels Through Time, Andy Bowman Jr.'s Monkey Business, Steve's Restorations and Hot Rods, and Bob Halliday's Bob's Garage. However, it wasn't renewed for another season. While some viewers acknowledged that it was a good show, it wasn't as successful as the first 6 seasons. There was a grand reopening of Rick's shop on the 17th of October 2015, with Mayor Carolyn Goodman giving a speech and proclaiming that day as Rick's Restorations Day in the city of Las Vegas. Unfortunately, his business didn't fare as well as before, and he eventually had to shut it down. Some weren't surprised by this, considering that the property was leased to accommodate filming for the show. He initially worked at a shop in Boneyard that took him 15 years to build, but he said that they'd outgrown it. Much of the filming done since season 3 took place in this new property, which was much bigger than their former workplace. They made the facade look like one would see in an old town street, such as a diner, theater, bank, or barber shop. Since they were no longer filming, they didn't need such a big place anymore. Rick's Restorations merchandise is for sale on the website, including glassware, beanies or hats, shirts, and bumper stickers. People who are interested in vintage machines restored by Rick and his crew would be delighted to know that they still have a chance to own one of these: Fire Chief pedal car, Candy Machines, You Select, Green Stoner, and Wood Grain Stoner, Bally slot machine, and Coca-Cola Vendo machines. If one wanted a special message from Rick Dale, such as a birthday greeting or words of encouragement, then a 2-minute or less video would be sent through email at a minimal cost. Based on their Facebook page, it appears that Rick Dale continues to restore old pieces to their original glory. His popularity hasn't waned since he often receives invites to car shows, expos, and swap meets. He's had a YouTube channel since 2010, and in February 2021, he shared his plans of giving tutorials on the restoration process, Q&A sessions, and working on projects with enthusiasts. In June 2021, he opened another YouTube channel, Restoration Ricks, and posted videos of what he's been doing at his shop. Everything is going well in Rick's personal life, if one would base it on social media postings. Rick and Kelly celebrated their 10th wedding anniversary in November 2021, and it appeared that they were having the time of their lives with their kids and grandchildren. So what about Rick's wife, Kelly? Aside from being a successful Las Vegas realtor with 20 years of experience, Kelly established a small business called My Best Foot Forward in 2019. Her shop was located in Las Vegas, and she said that no job is too big or too small for them when it comes to custom embroidery, as well as laser cutting and engraving. Some of the work they did included engraved boards and laser-cut woods for family or business signage, gifts, giveaways, and souvenirs. They also specialized in customizing apparel and upholsteries. In 2021, Kelly set up a mobile do-it-yourself studio in which friends and families could have a fun time in a Vegas sign party. After choosing the sample designs from the website, Kelly and her team would bring all the materials and tools needed for the participants to put everything together, paint the design, stain it, and apply the hanging hardware for the sign. As to Rick's children, daughter Allie married her best friend in March 2019 and has a career in insurance. Tyler has his automotive customization shop called Daily Grind Fabrication, and he also started making custom rings in 2016, in between big jobs, as he admitted to being inspired by the Louis brand in making non-traditional rings. It's available on his Etsy shop, The Tyler Dale Project. In 2021, his engagement to his girlfriend of 9 years was made known through Instagram. Brett Lee also became engaged to his girlfriend in 2020. He was part of the show for 5 seasons before he established his own business called CleanWorks Mobile Media Blasting in Las Vegas, in which they offered dustless blasting services for graffiti removal, cleaning equipment and tanks, and paint and rust removal. He said he worked hard to get his business going without taking out loans or handouts from anyone. Cowboy is one of his employees. Much to the delight of his fans, Rick appeared as a guest in 2019 and 2020 in History Channel's Pawn Stars, when his expertise was called upon by the Harrisons. However, many are still hoping to see Rick in his own reality TV show again, doing what he does best, as fans often left comments with the sentiment on their Facebook page, as they really fell in love with the show and Rick's restorations.
Thank you for spending some time with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpick these videos which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question in the comments below. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you back tomorrow.